Welcome, guys, to the SBN Network podcast. I'm your host, Steph, and with me is...
I'm Scott.
Yes.
And I'm Scott. We know how to do intros now.
This is a podcast where we take some deep dives into some wonderful artists and kind of look at their account in a different way, which is always a little bit positive, a little awesome, and you guys can enjoy their accounts with us.
And now that we've gotten more professional, I try not to say any dumb stuff.
Mm-hmm. And I try to at least always end on a good note.
Prima donna, I'm just gonna kind of put my phone up and pretend.
That's a good way to
I've
start.
got so much going on right now.
You taking your drink, Scott? Okay.
Yeah.
Always
And
take
for the
a
record,
drink to start
I'm
off the
drinking rye.
episode.
I'm not really a rye guy. I don't really know. It's in the house right now, and I've been drinking that.
What time is it in Pennsylvania?
It's fine. It's fine. We're good. We're good.
It's afternoon, right?
Because to me, I'm usually drinking wine, and then I looked at the time and I was like, I'm not drinking wine. I'm going to be napping on the show.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's actually 1:15 here, so we're good. We're
You're
totally,
same time zone as me then.
Oh yeah.
All right, cool. Yeah. Fair enough.
It's legal.
There you go. So this is vodka.
There we go. I have kombucha, so that's all right. Very California than me. So
California.
Eva got me addicted to it when she came and visited Greater Beast when she was here. So I'm just like, great. Now I have to
I
have
love
some.
kombucha.
I only like one flavor because that's the way I roll.
Leslie tried to get me to taste it, and I was like, I said, what is it? She says, it's fermented something, and I was like, nah.
Yeah.
You're like, no, thank you.
For anybody who ever wants to try kombucha, don't look at the process that makes kombucha before you try it. Decide whether or not you like it, and then you can look into that part. Because if you see how it's made beforehand, you'll never try it. It is the grossest looking thing ever.
They ferment fruit on old newspapers dated between like 1960 and 1982.
It's the weirdest thing. It's the weirdest looking. It's like it looks like a nasty, like I don't know, like a dead jellyfish floating around in a pool of gross brown tea.
Yeah. But it makes your tummy feel better, so it's good.
Oh, well, then maybe I should try that.
Yeah. Well, great way to start off our season 3.
Season 3.
Yes, we made it back finally. Yeah.
Yep.
A little hiatus because Scott had a new spawn, so we had to wait a little bit, and we had to get everything going. But I wanted to say thank you, Jason, for being our number 1 episode for the season.
Absolutely.
So thank you for saying yes. And ready for an adventure of a ride because Scott and I haven't been live on this platform for a little while, so we have lots of pent up questions and fun for this episode.
Oh, is this live right now?
No.
Oh, okay. I was gonna.
It says live, but when we put it up,
it tricks to all the people. Hey,
no.
We've tried them a couple times live, and we might do that later. But it's easier sometimes just to do this in case there's interruptions.
Live and then let it be. That way, the editing process is so easy. You just press post.
Yep, done. It's been posted.
Yeah. So. Yeah. I mean, I guess you could have tried it. But I didn't.
No. Jeez, I'm just lazy. I used to edit my podcast and I hated it. So
just went live. Absolutely.
No,
that's simple.
So what we're going to do, we're not going to talk about how you started and everything like that, because you can watch those on a bunch of other different types of formats, because you've been on, I've seen most of the ones you've done. And one of my favorites ones is when you were on the Star Wars Time show going over all that stuff. So that's like one of my favorite ones of going back through. Yeah. The good thing about this show is that you're continuing to do toy photography. So we're going to kind of look at all that and like the history of your account, which is one of my favorite things about being on your little show on your page, was that you went back through the history and you have dates and times of like my page, which was really cool. I don't have the dates except for the very first photo on your feed. So you're ready for your comparison page. So I'm going to pull that up. So don't be too surprised. But I was super excited because I got the dates right. So you have your February 9th and February 9th, exactly 4 years apart.
That's how we should be 3 years though.
3 years? Maybe I'm not.
Yeah, 3 years. I just had my 3rd year anniversary. Yeah, 2019 to 2022.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Still, I was excited that you posted it exactly on the right date.
But I didn't even know that I did. That's the thing. I stopped counting at one point. I was like, oh, you know, like I don't understand why, because I see a lot of people posting their memories on their stories. And for some reason, Instagram doesn't let me do it. So I'm always going through my things like the archive. I don't even know where to find it. And so like I can't see memories anytime. So I don't even know when the dates are of when I posted anything. I used to be able to do it, I think about, I don't know, maybe a year and a half ago or 2 years ago. But for some reason, I've just lost the ability to do it. And so, yeah, but that one I remember. That was I've come a long way. Let's just put it that way. I still
But that's what's really fun about looking at them side by side, is seeing an evolution of an artist. And and I know like Steph kind of said, you've been on multiple podcasts, so we don't need to go super in depth, but just the main question here: do you remember what made you take this first photo?
Oh boy,
roughly. Like, do you remember, what were you thinking? Was it something that you was pent up, like me, for example, or was it something that you had just been kind of planning and you were like, oh, you know what, I see this little figure.
No, but the story I tell regarding that is more because I'd seen a few pictures on Facebook pop up on my feed for some reason, like from Hot Kenobi and Sergeant Bananas, which is really cool. And I had just Star Wars had hit fever pitch, started in 2015 when The Force Awakens had started up and all that stuff, which was really, really cool. And, I kind of toyed with the idea of getting back into collecting a little bit, the Star Wars The Black Series. And then I figured that eventually it would be fun I hadn't had a figure of Luke Skywalker in a long time. And so I noticed some people taking pictures of their toys. I noticed some people that had been putting effects over the pictures, which I thought was super fun. And I figured, you know what? As a collector, I'm a bit of an idiot. Sometimes I buy more than one figure. And so I figured, I'd just like to see what it feels like to have them in my hand. And if I'm there, why not? I noticed some people were taking pictures in front of their computer screens. I'll just try to do that and add the effects just for fun.
Yeah.
And that's what that was.
Yeah.
No real lighting or anything like that.
No. So this was your computer screen. This was the one you were
It's the one I'm talking on right now.
Yep. That's what I was wondering. So it's literally the computer that you're talking on right now. That's all it was. Very simple. Added some effects and you were done. That's absolutely awesome.
I love the idea of being able to put a lightsaber on an action figure. For some reason, I thought that was fun. And if you go back a little bit before that shot, there's me at the kitchen table, at the dining room table with my Darth Vader and my Obi-Wan with lightsabers. And, it was, I just figured, it'd be really funny to put, the lightsaber effect on those and have a lot of fun with it.
Yeah. So the Popeye one over here.
Yep.
Is that a digital backdrop too? Is that
no.
Or is that real? That's legit? That's physical?
Yep. Right now, what you see there, it was funny. I wasn't supposed to post this picture because I didn't particularly like it.
Yeah.
But then I showed Leslie, and Leslie, my wife, said to me, she says, I love how cozy that looks. That looks great. You should post that. But I had spent the entire day trying to make the shot work. And for some reason, it just wasn't coming together the way I like it. So I didn't take any behind the scenes or anything like that. And at one point I was like, no, just throw it up. It doesn't matter anymore. Just who cares? It's okay. He looks cozy. I got kind of the message across of what I wanted to get. It's just the film references and TV shows and whatnot. And just being cozy, and it's winter here. So I'm just trying to, entertain myself and get through the winter. And it felt like that. Yeah. So what you see there is the dock that my father built. I have a bunch of crates that are there on the side. My father had built for me as well just kind of a tool we'll call it a desk for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
So there was that, and then a little shed in the back, a shanty that I could use that I was going to plan on using for. You see it on a few of other of my dock pictures. Then the light in the background is kind of doubling for the moon. Is just a loom cube. With a snoot on it. And then it's just one of those cardboard backgrounds that you would normally put to hide people from cheating on tests.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to just use that and put a light in the bottom, because normally if you're on the ocean or something like that, the light is going to hit and reflect up, especially if the ocean it's covered in ice. The snow is usually going to reflect a little bit, and the ice is going to reflect a little bit. So I wanted to have that glow in the background as well. So that enabled me to just kind of have a better depth to get the little snow particles. So I was just adding a little
like
bit of light
that. I like that a lot. I was just curious because I know you do tend to use digital backdrops a lot, and I'm always impressed by people that have the patience to work with digital backdrops because they just give me anxiety. Like that's like seriously.
TV?
Yeah, TVs and laptop screens and little like iPads and stuff just stress me out. I think a big part of it, and this is going to sound super ridiculous, but those of you who know, I actually did crop for your photos, which is kind of was a stretch for me. But I've talked about this. I don't really crop. I don't tend to crop photos. And that's one of the things I always tend to run into when I'm shooting against a digital screen is trying to utilize it and make it work like in full frame.
Right,
it never does because you always end up kind of like peeking out over the top of the TV or like peeking off of the side of the TV. I'm just like, and then I just get in my own head and I don't want to mess with it. But this is cool.
I always crop because
most people do. Normal people crop your photos. If I haven't said that enough, crop your freaking photos. Like, I don't know why I'm so stupid. Like, I'm so like, yeah, they shot it like this. I want to keep it this way. I don't want to change it. Like, it's weird.
It's a style, definitely. But the thing is, Instagram crops it for you anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, I'm always working on that 11 by 14 type crop. What I'll do is when I try to keep it to a 12 by 18 so that if ever I wanted to blow it up, everything would be kind of there. Everything that I shot was there.
Sure.
But even then, if I have a little bit of a TV showing or something like that, what I normally do is I'm going to just clone stamp it out with the rest of the top, because there's nothing happening up there anyway. I put everything that I wanted in the frame that I wanted. Most of the time you'll have like maybe the sky there or something like that, or you would actually see the entire moon or something like that. But other than that, no, I mean, there's not much showing. So
you're just filling in. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
Makes perfect sense. No, I love that. I also always love the different, and we'll get into this more as we go along, but like the different tones of light that you manage to pull off. Like you are very good at those, like, it's like this high dynamic color spectrum of light that you use that a lot of people do not use. I definitely don't use it. Okay. But you'll have these warmer tones. You'll have bluer tones. You'll have greener tones. You'll have pinker tones, all within the same photo, and they all look so nice together.
Oh, really? I didn't notice that at all.
It's really interesting. Like it's really cool. Like this is like I love the fact that you've got the super white. Like if you looked at like the Kelvin scale of that moon up there, like you're probably you're up high. I'm not saying you're like at like 9,000, but you're up there. But then you look at like the window and the little lamp on the side, and they're like super, super warm, and it just looks so nice. Like you said, like the description of cozy, like you've got these multiple tones just like meshing together so nicely and so happy. Like, oh god, it's really stunning. I love your use of manufactured light. I think it's so good. It's something Steph and I were talking about this. We were texting before. And Steph too. Steph has just such a grasp of artificial lighting that I don't know. I think I get myself, like I look at it for a few minutes and I'm just like, I don't want to deal with this. I'm going outside. Like it's just really cool. And I just need to play more. Like I finally got some LEDs for the shoot that I did of Steph's style. I finally decided to get myself some small lights, and her shoot was the only time I've used them since like the end of November. Right. So and then you were the next time I pulled them out. So I need to start playing around with it. Even just in general, it's been cold here. I should be shooting inside. I should not be climbing into water like I did the other day. Like I should be in my house, cozy and taking photographs like a normal human being. And I need to start experimenting and playing a little bit. So.
Sure. I mean, it does open up your wheelhouse, but like for me, like I dread going outside now.
That's fair.
Because I remember when I used to do it, well, truth be told, I'm not in as great shape as I used to be either because of COVID. We were locked us inside and then everyone just kind of, well, including myself, just gained a bunch of weight. Now I'm like trying to, and plus I'm getting older. It's bending down for some reason now, like with my knees and my ankles and all that stuff. It's getting really complicated. So I wanted to develop those skills inside because I felt that it would actually give me a little bit more control. Just a question of like even going out back, at the mercy of the sun. It's one of those things where I get really, really frustrated because I set up in one spot and the sun moves and I've got this giant ray right through the middle of my setup. And I find that frustrating because I'm not intending on working on it. I set up a certain way because I like the way that the light was shining on it. And it can
change in a second.
Yeah. And let's say I'm doing an effect or something like that, and I didn't capture it. The sun moves over and there it is. I've lost. I have to wait to make sure if the sun's going to be blocked out by a branch again or something. So I got to be frustrating. Now, once we get a house and I have a backyard to shoot in, then I understand where the light's coming from and what's obstructing it or something like that.
Yeah.
Then I'll probably have a little bit more control. But right now, like this is the apartment building, like everything is surrounding it as other apartment buildings. So the light comes in and out between the big trees that are there. So, right now I don't have as much control, or I don't know, where the light's going to be going when I'm setting up outside. So it becomes really a mess.
No. Absolutely.
And just dragging my gear around as well.
And it can be,
packing it is quite a bit.
And I was going to say, like, I'm not as, like, Steph brings a lot of stuff with her. Like, I tend to be a little bit more, like, minimalist. Like, I just kind of, like, throw the cameras, throw the figures in, and I just walk away with a bag.
Right.
But no, that is a lot. That's a lot to bring, especially people who shoot, like, many figures in a scene, or people who shoot, like, hot toys and stuff like that. It's a lot to carry around with you. Like I totally get that. Like I usually have just like my little Tupperware container with like 2 or 3 figures in it, and then my camera bag, and that's it. Like, and lately I've actually even gotten away from tripod. Like I'll just take piles of dirt and mush them together and stick my camera on top of my
okay.
So I don't even bring a tripod much anymore because I like the lower angle. So I've just seriously, like, you'll just see me with my hands like stuffing the dirt together and then just like wedging it in.
I'm going to send you a link for a platypod.
Yeah.
I was like, please, no.
Yeah. I used to dig out trenches when I was shooting Star Wars stuff quite a bit. I'd find a beach someplace and make sure that I was checking tides just to see there was low tide.
Make sure you don't get flooded.
Exactly. And so, I used to, dig out a bunch of stuff, bring pieces of wood, bring all my figures with me and set up in that trench. And it was okay. I mean, it was fun to do it early in the morning when no one was around. And then you'd have like a couple of people just drop by and like, what the hell are you doing? And like, I'm just playing with toys, check it out and all that stuff. But now just being able to do it from my own place becomes more therapeutic for me because I get to spend time just kind of flushing out the work week, or I need to process some conversation that I had with the kids or something like that, or, just figure out what I want to do next week in class, or, so it's just one of those things where I'm just in the zone, and it's just much more fun that way. I don't have to focus on like, okay, did I get the shot, get back home, check them all out and realize, shit, I'm going to have to go back out tomorrow.
Yeah.
Because the sun was blaring onto my viewfinder and I couldn't actually really get it because I don't want to lie down in the mud.
Yeah.
So.
No, I get that because I've had that before. I've gotten back with photos and been like, nope, that was trash. that was a waste of 2 hours. And never looking at those again. So I can relate. I know that feeling. Like I don't know why I keep putting myself through it.
Like it's not quite in focus, and then you blow it up, and then it's like, it's not in focus at all.
You're like, this will pass. Like you look at it, it's like it's fine. Then you put it on the computer, and it's like, oh, this is offensive. This is offensively out of focus. Like,
and even sometimes you're like, wow, this is going to be really neat, and then you put it in the camera, and you're like, put it in the computer, and you're like, this does not look, and it looked better smaller.
Yeah, it looked better when it was really tiny. Exactly. Maybe I'll just post it as a thumbnail and see what people say.
Exactly.
There you go. Okay, we're gonna go to the next. If I can get this to go forward, because I think this is from your earlier adventures.
Yeah,
love this. This is fun. This is early on, but again, I mentioned this in my little like write up about you, and I like doing a write up about people, and I don't even know. There's probably like 3 people that read it. Nobody cares what I write, but like I'm happy you read it. But you really, there's something about you specifically, and we're going to get into it. Hopefully there's a photo that Steph put in here. I don't know if she did, but if she put, there's one photo that we'll talk about later, but you have this, people look to you. You're part of it. I described it as like part of these like elite toy photographers. I don't mean that in like a snobby way. I just mean it like this, like you're like this like little like Navy SEALs group that people look to.
That's a good way to put it.
Like people look to you guys for ideas. And I'm not talking about people who are even like trying to make like, oh, I'm going to become a famous toy photographer. Like just people just trying to have fun. And they look to you guys. They look to your behind the scenes for ideas. Like, and I really do not mean this in a bad way. The only people who give a shit about what I'm posting are other toy photographers, like, and my mom. Like nobody else cares what I'm posting. But for you, you are like, you're influential in a way that like people see the fun experiments that you do and things that you try. And they go, I want to try that. I want to do this. And you're really good about sharing your behind the scenes. You're really good about sharing your process. You're really good about like giving people like fun ideas. And I think this is, to me, I know this is an earlier on photo, but like the splashing, the dirt, the experience, like this is not just a toy photo. This is the experience that you had while you were taking the toy photo. And I think that is super important to people who are looking at this hobby and trying to have fun with it, is they need to be able to, you know, try things and experiment. It is, we're shooting photos of toys. You should be playing with them. And that is the point. And I think you just do such a great job with that. You're always trying new things. You're always putting different aspects into your, you know, your imagery and making sure that people know how to do it. And I think that is really super important. And I think, you know, this is so representative of that. You know, you've got all these like, you know, these classic toy photographer techniques that you and several other people have really like pioneered at this point and really gotten people excited about the idea of like, yeah, I'm going to put my freaking Iron Man in the water and I'm going to shoot a bunch of water around him and I'm going to make dirt fly at him and I'm going to make him look really cool and light up his chest. Like it's so cool. And yeah, there you go. There's my soapbox.
There's a lot. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate that. I mean, I can't take credit for any of it, to be honest, because I just built this on whatever I was learning from people at the time, right? It's about screwing up as much as you can and then hoping for the best. And like, I don't know. There's a lot in there. I don't feel as though I'm influential in any way. You know what I mean? I'm just like, I remember talking to Sergeant Bananas at some point and saying, he was telling me, he says, I'm just a dude taking pictures of toys. And I'm like, that's exactly how I feel. I'm just doing those things. I mean, and it's nice that people, you know, have gravitated towards some of my work. I got lucky in a couple of things, you know what I mean? Because, you know, TikTok kind of exploded and all that stuff. And yeah, there was some, you know, few things here and there that people wrote about me, but it didn't change anything. You know what I mean? I'm still just trying to do my best. I'm getting screwed by Instagram like everybody else and, you know, stuff like that, you know? But like that process, the one for the Iron Man shot is a shot that I really enjoyed because there's so much, the picture itself is beside everything that happened. Because I noticed like there's some people that were taking pictures and they were using like canned air in order to kind of get the water to fly up. And you know, I was studying Mitchell Wu's at that time, Sergeant Bananas as well, you know, Johnny's stuff. And I was like, seems like a hassle. Why don't I just throw a rock in the lake? And that'll create a really, like if I have a really high shutter speed, then I don't need any canned air or anything like that. I'll just kick dirt towards the figure and everything should be fine there. Why would I use any of that stuff? Yeah. And so that's exactly what I did is I chucked the rock in the lake and it just kind of blew up. And when I looked at the pictures I had, I saw this one and I was like, that looks really cool. I'll just use that. Yeah. And then I figured, you know what, I'll take another picture where I'm kicking some dirt and I'll Photoshop that in. And it was just learning how to, you know, layer mask for me anyway, personally. But the funny thing is that morning I had taken another shot, which is of some mud troopers on the same like bank where one of them is looking out towards the lake and all that stuff. And that just happens to be a lake near where my folks live. Yeah. And woman who owns the lake. Now, I said that. The woman who owns the lake, there's a house in the background there. That's her father's house. And he happens to be a huge realtor in that place. Now, I was using atmosphere aerosol. And I was spraying, and she stopped by the side of the road and wondering what I was putting in the water because she didn't want it to be anything toxic. So for a minute there, she got worried that I was poisoning a lake where people were coming to swim. So it was the funniest shit. Like I was like, no, I take pictures of toys. And she was like, what? And so here I am. I'm talking to, I think, this 65-year-old woman who's just confused when she sees this Iron Man figure and these other like Star Wars figures. And she was like, I have no idea what's going on. It's so early in the morning. I had like one coffee. Who are you and where? And I was like, well, my parents just live over there. So I gave my parents the address, and she was like, oh, okay, I think I know who those people are. And I was like, yeah, okay. And so anyway, I got home, and I was like, it was during the summer. So it was really fun because we were visiting my folks. So that means, I don't have to do housework most of the time. I'll help dad with the dishes, and then we'll fool around in the pool outside and, smoke some cigars and all that stuff. So to me, when I see Iron Man in this shot, I'm like, that was vacation.
Yeah.
It was super fun. So yeah.
Do you enjoy, like, I'm just curious just because of this, like, and now that's a very specific case, but like, do you enjoy getting stopped by people? Like, because I don't mind it. It doesn't bother me when people ask me questions. Like, I love it. At first, I was not super comfortable with the idea. And it's a strange thing trying to explain to people, and especially like colleagues, what I do, people I work with. And now they all love it. They love what I do. And they talk about it constantly. They're always asking to see like things that I've done. But like, do you enjoy that? Do you enjoy like getting approached out in the world? Because I think it's so funny. Like, I love trying to explain it, especially people who have no idea what's going on, or kids. Like, I love when kids are like,
yep.
What is happening over here?
Yeah, that's always fun when it's the kids. I remember there was a shot that I was doing on the beach, which was really fun. There was this little boy that I had no idea was there. I was just setting up. I was doing my things and all that stuff. I had the camera out, and his family was watching by, and he just kind of, sidled, just coming up to me and all that stuff. And he was like, he's just kind of curious. And I was like, hey, what's up? Do you want to see what I'm doing? And he was like, what is this? And so I explained the whole process to him. Mind you, this is in Quebec, so I'm doing this in French to the young boy.
Yeah.
And he was just kind of amazed by the fact that I was just fooling around with toys, and I showed him a couple of the pictures that I had taken and all that stuff. And I was also lighting fires on the beach where I'm not supposed to, because I wanted to have a little fire there. And so while I'm explaining to the boy, my daughter is with me as well, and she notices a guy looking at me, and there was a police officer. And so I tell the little boy, I have to leave now. I have to go put out that fire because, and it's a small little fire, and there's nothing going on. I mean, it's next to six-inch stormtroopers. And so I put out the fire, I pack up my gear, and I give one of the figures to the boy, and I say, hey, here you go, you can have one of the figures. And he was like, really? And I was like, yeah, here you go, it's a stormtrooper. So I don't know where that kid is anymore. We're talking about like 3 years ago.
That's hilarious.
So maybe he was having fun. But the cops stayed there until I left, which is the weirdest thing, because they didn't come talk to me or anything like that.
No.
I just would love to know like the process, instead of like the guy that kind of ratted me out or something like that for having lit a fire on the beach. It would have been interesting for him to just come down and see what the fuck I was doing instead.
Yeah.
Instead of just being like, there's a dude down there showing how to build fires to a young boy.
Yeah, he's teaching a young boy how to make little tiny fires. really small 6-inch scale fires.
And so it was really, really funny. And then my daughter Allie was like, do you think we're going to get in trouble? I was like, over toys, baby?
I hope.
I doubt it. What the cop is going to do is he come takes a picture, and I'll show him like, listen, I just made a fire so I could take a picture of some toys.
Yeah.
We'll talk in a few years or something like that. You're going to arrest me for something that stupid?
No, that's ridiculous.
But no, I think it's fun. I mean, now a few times there were a few times where people actually recognized me, which was weird.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. That was a very strange thing. I was doing a Comic-Con, which was okay. But I remember like I was packing up for the day, and I was going outside. I was waiting outside for Leslie to pull a car around, and they were like, there's a person standing right next to me. And then his buddy goes and taps him on the shoulder, and he says, that guy. And they walk up to me, and they were like, are you the Jason that did the Mario shot? And I was like, yes, I'm that guy. And he's like, that is so cool, man. I follow you on TikTok. Yeah. And I was really interested by that. I was like, really? He says, yeah, you were on my For You page like twice or 3 times. I got sick of seeing video, which is totally fair. And, I said TikTok it's like the worst reruns app there is. But then it started becoming my students as well. Yeah. They're like, yeah, this is my teacher. He's the guy that plays with toys.
Yeah. Well, and we can go into we can go right into that. That is something about your imagery, and that we will continue to probably talk about, is the fact that you do appeal to people other than toy photographers. You've gotten the attention of a broader audience, which I think is really, really fascinating, because it's obviously like your skill, it's your subject matter, it's the way that you share your images. I think it's your process. It's really cool because people who know nothing about toy photography have still seen your images. And I think that is really fascinating, because you've crossed that line into more of and I described you as more of a pop culture photographer who uses toys as their medium versus a toy photographer. Okay. And I know before we were even in this, before we were talking about this, and before we went live, we mentioned the idea that you are not a collector, which shows in your photography. Your photography is not about your collection. It's not about photographing your collection. It's not you look at some and I'm going to specifically talk for Star Wars photographers because that's where I tend to fall. I always fall. Is you see the feeds, and the Star Wars feeds are always based on the newest Black Series figures that came out, right? Makes sense. Newest things come out, people are taking photographs of them. Yours don't follow any rules or patterns or, Hasbro releases or Mattel releases. Your photos are it's combinations of characters. And that was one of the reasons why I wanted to do something that when I did my photo, we can talk about that later, but the idea of something that was relevant right now in pop culture. I wanted to do the idea of combining 2 things that have been talked about over the last couple of months, and hashtag spoilers, Book of Boba Fett. But it just wanted to capture that idea that you really do go with the flow of what's happening. You've made political statements. You've made, again, you're current with what's happening on television, movies, cartoons. Out of curiosity, with these statements that I've just made, did you start with a particular fandom? Do you like a particular thing more than something else? Because to be honest, your Instagram does not show, most people who come on here, when you look at their feed, you can see they're into Marvel, or they're into Nendroids, or they're into, collecting hot toys, or you don't. Do you have something that's kind of one of your favorite things, or do you just pick and choose kind of as you go?
Well, a lot of people have said that my work has gravitated from Star Wars and Black Series to Mezco mostly, because, and I tend to agree with that. I do tend to shoot Mezco more than anything else, simply because they're readily available to me. They're in these giant boxes. They're the ones that command my attention. I particularly like their Gomez figure and all that stuff, which is not a popular choice. I know a lot of people are sick of them. But for me, I really, really like it. But I did start as a toy collector first. When I was shooting the Black Series and all that stuff, I used to try to get the entire waves that were coming out. But I slowly fell out of love with Star Wars. I've said this on another show where there was a guy that I saw. He said he missed being in love with Star Wars, and that's exactly what happened to me. A lot of the discourse around the series itself or the franchise is incredibly negative. And I tend to be affected by that quite a bit because I'm more of a positive person. I'm idealistic, somewhat naive as well as an individual. And so I always try to see the best in people and in everything, but I get slapped in the face one too many times. And then eventually it becomes exhausting to actually just want to keep posting. And so Star Wars for me has become something akin to that, where I see it more in a negative light now than I do in a positive light. And I have had conversations with people that have tried to get me to photograph Star Wars more often, but I just don't see any inspiration in it anymore, because I used to love to do those things. But now whenever I think of the characters, I get annoyed. I just don't particularly feel like doing it. Except for Mando. For some reason, Mando is one of those guys that seems to fit any scenario that I can put him in, and I love photographing the Mandalorian.
Do you think it's right. The dad thing for Mando? Kind of like Mando's like father figure, basically? Because like I was assuming he's probably the first positive father image in Star Wars.
Yeah, that's a good point. I never really thought of that. It could be. I just like him as a character. I just like his demeanor. I like his no nonsense way of going about things. I also appreciate the character arc that he gave him. You know, that's one thing that I feel like George Lucas seems to have missed the point when he went back and fixed like Return of the Jedi and have do with Darth Vader scream that no, instead of having just Darth Vader looking, you know, in one direction of the sun and looking at the Emperor, you could feel the emotion through there. And I feel like in The Mandalorian, they do have shots like that where the Mando's there and he's not saying it's a damn thing, but the audience itself knows exactly what he's feeling in that situation. Regardless
of the cinematography.
Exactly.
Yeah. All mannerisms and cinematography. Yeah.
Precisely. Body language and all that stuff. So I feel like it's brought back a little bit of what I used to like about Star Wars, as opposed to just filling it up with a bunch of shit, throwing stuff at the screen and hoping it sticks. Yeah. You know? So I kind of got a little bit burnt out by that stuff, you know, and even like my feed now, like whenever I see Star Wars stuff, I tend to scroll because I'm like, all right, cool. Yes, there's the brand new figures. I couldn't care less. They're not learning anything. The Black Series, they seem to be making the same mistakes over and over again as well. So I don't particularly, I hate spending money on Black Series as well, you know, and I think there's a part of it that is from that, you know, adverse reaction to Star Wars, but it's also that I really love the way the light hits 112 figures that actually have soft goods on them.
Yeah.
You know, there's not that reflective sheen that goes on. You have to fight them around like that.
Yeah, like a plastic cape or something like that. You don't have to deal with that. Yeah.
You know, but I mean, I do want to go back to that so that I can maybe practice a little bit more versatility, you know, and be able to shoot with those types of figures.
Yeah.
Which is why I did the Chip and Dale shot as well, because I know that those aren't fat figures and they're going to be very limited in terms of articulation. I want to shoot a little bit more of Super 7's reaction figures as well, because I feel like that's a fun challenge to get into, regardless of whether or not it does well as a shot. I did the Mars Attacks tanks, but it didn't matter. I had so much fun doing it that I couldn't care less. But so I mean, I think that people do associate me more to Mezco now because I did work with them. We have a show called The Hangout that we do on Friday nights as well, which a lot of people have dubbed basically a Mezco promotional hour. Which, like, I mean, to be fair, we're talking about that stuff, the newest releases and all that. But I'm always, I try to be unbiased about it just to make sure, you know, like I do, you know, feel like there should be a few changes within the line, like more women, I said more diversity as well and stuff like that. So, I mean, I'm not trying to be partial towards the brand itself.
Yeah, like a Mezco ambassador or anything like that.
Yeah, no, man, I'm not. I relish the idea of working with them again because it's been a really fruitful relationship for me personally. It's been creatively fun as well. If it happens again, it happens again. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But I know a lot of people have associated me more to that. But I don't know. I don't know. If I look back, I've been shooting Spider-Man a little bit more, which I thought was fun.
Yeah.
There's a Mezco Batman that I shot that had a custom head because that's the type of Batman that I really like. He looks good.
Yeah.
I think there was a few Gomez pictures in there as well. But right now, everyone's shooting Rorschach. I just happened to get him, the Felix Toys Rorschach. But I'm working on an idea with him that's somewhat complicated, but I'm hoping I can get it done in the next, 2-3 weeks there once I've planned out the logistics of it.
I'm going to move forward. I put a lot of your photos in here because it was really hard to slim down just some selection.
This is so, like, I love, again, we're seeing this evolution of stuff. You're starting to do a lot more like movement in the photos and stuff like that. Like that last photo was much more like portraity. Now we're starting to get some like action, which you have a more recent photo on a speeder where someone's like being like decapitated and stuff. And I love that how you made the background kind of move around the imagery. I love this. What was your process here?
I copied Black Series. Zay. He did one with the speeder, traveling and all that stuff. And what I wanted to do is I was like, I need to learn how to make movement in Photoshop whenever I'm not moving anything.
Yeah.
How do I create that? And so I was just trying to practice motion blur. The speeder bikes with the, man, I'm getting old. I keep forgetting names now. So Scout Troopers, thanks. The Scout Troopers have always been my favorite looking troopers.
Yeah, they're cool.
And so whenever I managed to get my hands on some, because they were really hard to find and expensive, but I got lucky. And so I was like, I'm going to take a shot kind of like that, kind of like Zay's shot. And that's what it is. That's actually my living room floor where I just put like a plant and a bit of moss and all that stuff. And I figured that Photoshop would do the rest of the work, and it did.
No, it's, I love that. I love you have experimented with Photoshop in a way that, in my opinion, is very accessible to the public. It's, you don't go over the top,
no,
but you do the kinds of things that even somebody who's not an experienced photographer would be able to learn about and get a better understanding of and stuff. Do you do, this is really random and I'm just curious if you do you do any like focus stacking or anything like that? Or do you pretty much just do?
I did on occasion.
Okay.
Yeah, in order to see what it was, but I don't think I use it the right way. There's a photo of Gomez that I have where he has a sniper rifle in the rain.
Yeah.
That was 100% focus stacking because the way that the camera is set up means I'm to capture the rain that the way that I want to capture it means I'm going to have a very shallow depth of field.
Yeah.
And as a result, because the rifle itself is so long, there was no way for me to get it all in focus, and so I had to focus on
each individual section.
Exactly. So to get him in complete focus as well. So
again, I still like that. Like that's the kind of stuff you tend to focus. You do a lot of that kind of stuff that's very like, cool to learn and give people like the opportunity to try things. And you're not, and I say this again, you don't hide or shy away from what you do. Like people can kind of observe your process through your feed, which I think is really awesome. And through, TikTok and things like that, like what you do. It was, even when you make things and stuff, I mean, like not make it, like, I don't know what kind of things you make and what kind of things you get and what, but like the use of props and like, you get to see that kind of stuff in your behind the scenes. Like that was what made me start, which made me make a few trees. Like I was just fun. I was like, oh God, I've never done this. Here we go. Like I saw it in the behind the scenes. So now I have to have some trees. And
did you enjoy that process?
I did. It was really fun. I was sending Steph photos the entire time. Yeah. I was sending photos to Steph. I don't think I even did it the way you did it. I just saw that you did it. And then I started kind of like winging it. But yeah, it was actually really, really fun. It was cool because I have these gigantic, where are you? These like gigantic tubes.
There you go. Exactly.
That awesome. They're from, so our palette wrap, we use like this giant like saran wrap where I work. So it's like these big, long monsters. And I just started putting tape and spackle all over it. And I just started spraying. I said, Steph, the entire process, I was just like sending her photo. I was like, okay, I'm getting some trees. Some trees are coming together. But again, you share that information. You let people see what you do. And that's so cool. Yeah, I mean, I share it, yes, in the sense, but at the same time, I'm also documenting for further times for myself. You know what I mean? Like, I don't mind sharing my process. There are a lot of people that want me to show what I do in Photoshop and stuff like that. And I just don't have the time. No, that's a lot.
And I'm already giving you like 90% of what I did. So, because my Photoshop is very limited. I suck at it. And so,
I know.
But having the tangible items with me, like with the trees and the sand and like a bit of grass or moss, it helps my imagination run as well, right? just seeing it there, I'm like, okay, if I position them there, maybe I could do this with it, or I could do that with it. Maybe I could hide something behind a tree, or if I could do, stuff like that. It actually is so much more fun to have it there and move the camera around and try to find an angle that tells the story in a really fun way, rather than just kind of created in Photoshop. To me, I don't particularly like that. I like, because my process, sure, it's fun to edit the picture and put it, maybe adjust the colors here and there, but taking the shot, working on it while you're there with the camera and that's the fun, So I need to have those things around in order to have my fun.
Yeah. You mentioned something before, and I just want to bring this up since we're looking at some behind the scenes footage. You said something about your dad.
Mm-hmm.
What is that connection there? Like, does your dad make small things? Like, is he involved in this practice, this interest, this hobby? Like, I'm just curious.
My father's a tinkerer. I mean, he's the kind of guy that used to do as a hobby. He used to buy like 1970s motorcycles, were completely, destroyed, and he would build them up from scratch like they were Legos.
Yeah.
He'd piece them all back together and all that stuff, and then he'd sell it, get another one. Now he's doing it with bicycles more recently, and it's really, really funny. I remember my father was the kind of guy that he wanted to build a shed in the background, a garage, and like one of his buddies came over. We were getting it all done. We had put the trusses in and all that stuff, and we were going to build the garage that day. And his buddy, who's an engineer, came up and said, "Where's your plan?" And my father just did this. "It's right here. We're going to just put the walls up. Everything's going to be fine." So, and he's the one who like renovated the house where my parents lived and stuff like that. So he needs to be building shit in order to stay sane.
Yeah.
Otherwise, he's gonna, like my mom, he's just going to badger her, like, "What are we doing today?" And so my mom, gives me a call. I was like, "Can you find something for him to do?"
He needs to build something.
Exactly. So on occasion, I'll tell him, "Hey, I think, I need a few props for this type of shot. I have an idea for a photo, and so I'll write down the idea someplace and I'll look, well, maybe if I got this, I have that. Maybe if I have this, maybe he could build this, this, and this. And then I could get that type of angle where I can include those things and it'd be really fun." Like, for example, I'm working on an idea for a Monsters Inc. shot.
Yeah.
But I had reached out to a couple of people for like 3D printed images of the door and the contraption that they have with the canisters and all that stuff. And the prices that were coming back were, I'd say, reasonable, but I just was like, how do I get around?
Can I do this?
How do I get around paying for something like this? And do I really want that to be the atmosphere of the shot? And then what I did is I reverse engineered my entire idea and said, "Oh, I don't have to do it from the Monsters Inc.'s perspective. I can do it from the kids' perspective inside the room."
Yeah.
Therefore, I can use like a bed. I could use a window, some drapes, like a bedspread, some pillows and things like that. And I'll always have those readily available if ever I want to take a shot of somebody else in the room. Whereas the Monsters Inc. is so specific to that one thing. I'm condemned to using it in that context all the time. Whereas these other props, I'll be able to use them differently. And so got on the phone, "Hey Dad, I need a boy's bed. I need a girl's bed. I'd like to have, some curtains and all that stuff. Can you build a window for me that I could put in the cardboard wall and all that stuff?" And he was like, "Yep, no problem." You FaceTime me the next day. The girl's bed was already made, and so he's always, ready to kind of contribute. So even in the shot that you have there, the bar in the back is one that I haven't photographed much yet, but he built that bar. The contraption that you have there that is holding up my lights from the top, he built that for me. The table, the chairs, all that stuff is all stuff that he built for me as well. And he loves to be able to contribute in those ways because it does is it gives him something to do. And I think he likes it when people, like when I say my dad built this and they're like, "Wow, your dad's a genius." And I'll send them screenshots of that stuff and it makes them have a great day, so it's really cool.
That's really cool. The what do you, just since we're again behind the scenes, are you a Canon shooter or Nikon shooter?
Well, I'm a Canon shooter because that was what my wife bought.
Yes. So that's what you want.
I don't own a camera. That's hers.
That's her camera.
Just using her camera. She wanted to try photography once, and then she was like, "This is too technical. Maybe you'd get a kick out of it."
Yeah.
And then the camera was just sitting there, and I was when I started toy photography, I was just taking it with my phone.
Yeah.
And eventually I was like, "Damn, she has a camera, man." So hey, Les, do you mind if I use your camera for this? And she was like, go ahead. It's just there.
It's not doing anything.
So,
that's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, I used to make short films and I had a Canon camera for that. So I kind of understood like where like the light sensitivity was on Canon. So I kind of knew exactly where I was headed towards that. But that being said, I wish that I could afford an upgrade. Sometimes I'm on the phone with Bananas and I can hear him in the back and his fucking camera sounds like a machine gun. Whereas mine just like click, 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 click. And I'm like, it's terrible.
It's trying so hard.
The light thing that you have that your dad built, is that your design, or did you just told him that you needed something for different levels? Because I've always wondered, because it's awesome for like overhead and for like how it works.
That's why I can't take credit for many things. I actually stole that from Richie from Nose Ring.
Oh, okay.
He used to put like a ruler on the top of some boxes or something like that so they can have an overhead light. At one point, I was trying to get that overhead light, but I was using like beer boxes and Coke can boxes and just random shit that I had lying around the house, like dictionaries and all that stuff. And my father was like, he called me up one day and he said, I think I have an idea so that whenever you're taking it behind the scenes, it doesn't look like you're drunk. And I was like, okay. And to be fair, I was always using the same box, so not that heavy a drinker. And so he came up with that contraption, which is really cool. He basically, he had a broom that he was no longer using. He cut the handle off of that, made a base for it. And then he uses those, like, I think those are fiberglass little things that he sawed. And there was one that goes all the way at the top as well that can link both of them together. If ever I wanted to suspend a figure, I can do that. Or I can take that off and just put my ruler on top, and then I can put direct light wherever I need it.
Yeah.
So my dad, so a lot of people message me about that. Hey, do you think that your dad can make one for me? And I was like, nah.
No. This is not his business.
Exactly. No. But anyway, I told him you should get a patent for that because eventually it will probably sell.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and you could probably have somebody who'd want to remake them for him.
Yeah.
Side gig. I did want to make a comment though, because like your behind the scenes are very well done. Like it's not just, sometimes it's like a picture of something on the back. Like when I take mine, it's like, here's some grass with my shit out in the outside. But yours are like really well, like atmosphere filmed. Like this right cornered one is a good example of that. And I had tried to attempt to take photos of myself taking photos of indoor stuff, and it was too much for me. So I was just gonna, say that part of the process for this is like people don't realize that taking time to step back and documenting, as you're saying, is actually it's a skill in itself. So it's almost like you're writing a short documentary each like setup. So it's really awesome.
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate that. And that's kind of what I want to do as well. You know, it's kind of weird because I feel like toy photography itself and collecting itself is rooted in nostalgia. And when I look back at these things, it's kind of fun to put I've tried to put myself in a few more images as a result of seeing not only my progress, but also my progression as a person. Mm-hmm. You know, I seldom take pictures of myself, and I feel that it would be fun to be able to look back on this, whenever I choose to end. You know, sometimes I've threatened people with retirement more and more because I'm like, I don't have more ideas now. I'm kind of sick of it.
I'm done. Like, I'm over this.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm that type of guy. When I'm done, I'm done. I just walk away and I figure no one will ever hear about me ever again. But I did with my podcast that people were like, do you still watch movies? I was like, not really, on occasion, you know, but I've done that. I don't need to do it anymore. I've proven that I'm able to hold a conversation intellectually with people that are commenting and criticizing film, and I'm totally fine with it, and I don't need to do it.
Yeah.
Eventually, when I've reached that feeling inside when I'm talking like toy photography, I'm just going to do the exact same thing. I'll be like, there'll be a picture of me or something like that, walking away with a hand up and bye-bye, like, you know, toy photographer no more. But yeah, so I've tried to put a little bit more of myself just to show, because some people are always like, well, we don't really see, what the size is or all that stuff. So just if the person sees you physically touching the thing, they're like, okay, there's a whole process here. There's some meticulousness that I wasn't aware of.
Makes a lot of sense. This is great current events here. Like, again, talking about the fact that you are just really good at staying with what is, again, current. Like you took something, you took something that was, a situation that the world is dealing with, and you made it entertaining and you made it fun.
I got shadow banned as a result.
So yeah, absolutely. So beautiful.
Hashtag coronavirus and all that stuff. And then Instagram instantly shut my fucking account down. After I posted these, and I love those shots too.
Do you know what's funny about this too? Is I remember these shots. I remember liking them. I didn't remember that you were attached to them until I went back and looked, because that's how, like, I believe that your account has been like intertwined on everyone's feeds for so long that when I went back and I'm like, Jason did take these. These are amazing. I remember liking them. I even had them favorited into a section in my account, but I didn't realize that you were the artist connected to them until I actually went back and looked. And so
phenomenal.
Yeah, they're iconic. They're awesome. And the posing, Jason, your posing is absolutely because I need to tell you, I own more Mezco than Hot Toys now, which is, I'm afraid to admit in my own life right at this point. But I am still worried about breaking legs and like moving stuff in the wrong direction. And you test that quite a bit.
I try to. They're not toys, man. They're tools. That's the way I understand. The thing is that a lot of people see, like, I remember a lot of people, like, I was throwing dirt at Ronin Wolverine and like 2 Crimson Gomez figures. And a lot of people were like, wow, there's $750 on that table. And I was like, first of all, no, there's not. There's toys there. I spent the money. The money's gone. The
money doesn't exist anymore.
The inherent value isn't in the figure itself. It's what you do with it, for me personally. So if I have to bust a leg, it's going to be shitty. You know what I mean? But like, to me, I got this set, and I got it at retail when it came out. I got lucky. But, people are selling these guys for $250 a piece now. And I'm like, wow, they're like, how do you bend them like that? And I was like, well, because I've been bending like that since I got them. That's what they were there for. You know what I mean? I don't see them as something precious. I see them as fucking skulls. And
again, that's a difference sometimes. It's a different mentality where, some people, and Steph and I have joked about this with many people, the idea of, at some point, I'm sure I'm going to accumulate some Hot Toys in my life, but I'm like, they're going to get nasty. Like I'm going to have to make that choice. And that's the plan. Like, I'm not going to be one of those people who, if I get them, I'm not getting them because I just want to look at them. I'm getting them because I want to do stuff with them. And I think that is 100% what you do. Again, I'll go back to my statement about you're using the toys as a tool. You are not a collector who's trying to capture your collection. You're somebody who finds the things you want to photograph, and you're making them work in the way you want them to work.
Yeah. And especially these guys, they have so much versatility. They can be goofy, they can be mean, they're a gang, but they're also idiots. Yeah. And like the idea of like social distancing with style, I just wanted to kind of, like, people were so caught up in the moment, and they're like very divisive when the coronavirus and all that stuff. And I was like, there's a way to have, like, without getting into like how hard it was to deal with all that stuff, there's a way to kind of try to alleviate something. If I can make a few people laugh, not taking something seriously and turning it into a farce, but if I can have people just kind of breathe a little, have a little bit more fun. So I was like, how can I do that? And so, social distancing with style would be like, okay, well, how do I work these poses? Well, Michael Jackson obviously could be one. Then I'm going to go goofy and I'll do the Napoleon Dynamite one in the middle. And then after that, I figured, wow, I have never really tried a breakdance pose, and I think it'd be really fun. So they all have their middle finger out. It's like, get the fuck away from me. Yeah. But I should have put more masks on. I don't think mask mandates had been implemented at that point.
Then you would have been fine. You wouldn't have been, they would have been like, this is great. Yeah. This is perfect. No, it's awesome. And I gotta say, like, as somebody who tends to shoot Black Series figures, who almost predominantly shoots Black Series figures, your use of fabric, like, you make the fabric make so much sense. Like, I feel like every time I see a Mezco shot of yours, I feel like fabric with 12-inch figures might be a little bit easier to deal with. And Steph could probably speak to this better. I don't know. Yeah. When you're working with fabric that small, like, I don't know how you make it look so organic and like real. Like it's really impressive.
I had some people ask me, like, you know, some people will hit you up when they're just starting out, and I try to answer as many people as I can. I can't answer everybody, but I'll pick and choose. And some of the people like, how do you? What would be the thing that you would tell me to focus on first? Like, and people are always focused on gear most of the time. They're all like, okay, what camera do you use, or what lights are you using, and all that stuff. And I'm like, I keep trying to remind people that it's not about the gear. You know, you could have the best lighting with the best camera. If your figure's not posed well, it's going to take your viewer out of the picture every single time. The main story isn't the gear. The main story is the figures. If you're posing the figures and they look natural, or they look, you know, just something relatable in a position that you know that person has been standing or sitting, or, you know, like just like their hands, the way that you're going to lean and stuff like that. And if you can convey that emotion through the figure, it doesn't matter what the lighting looks like. The lighting is just a bonus. You know what I mean? The picture will be sold. And I remember my kids used to laugh at me because I have a tendency of like sitting down at my kitchen table, and I'll have the figure, and I'm kind of smiling along, you know, just making these faces and trying to, you know, upload my emotion to the figure. You know, and my kids are just like, oh, looks like he's, you know, some synapses are really cracking over there. But eventually, once you get that pose, you know, that you were able to, then you can plop them down. And then once you find that camera angle, then you got it. And that's what I think is important, is like always work on the pose first. Once you've got the poses, put them on a little rack somewhere. They're not going to move. Everything is fine. Don't drop them. And then once that's done, then you can start setting up the scene around them, because at least the emotion that you're trying to convey is going to be there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
There's one we got to talk about. This, I will never forget opening this photo. Like, I know that sounds really, like, I'm not trying to be dramatic, people. So anybody who's listening to me, like, I'm not trying to make this sound crazy pants, but I genuinely will never forget opening this photo the day that you took it. Like, I about lost my mind. I know I reshared it, but there was just like, it was such a well done image, and so perfectly timed, and like it just hit me right in the face. I just remember thinking to myself, like, that was the first time, honestly, it was probably the first time ever that a toy photography made me feel much more than just, oh, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. That's a pretty cool photo.
Cool. Thank you.
I was like, for the first time I saw a like toy photography photo, and it really kind of changed like my idea of like, you know, what can be done with this. It made me recognize the art aspect a little bit more, and the, you know, and people shared the crap out of this photo. This photo blew up everywhere. Like, it was all over the freaking place. And it was in a good way. I don't mean that in a negative. It was just like, which I just thought was so cool. Like, people were sharing this who, again, not toy photographers, not nerdy people. Like, they were just people, just like, this was it. Just really well done. And seeing your behind the scenes and stuff like that. I remember even like showing it to my sister, and she was just like, what the it was just such an amazingly executed photograph. And I mean, it's not even worth getting into the artistic elements of this. Like, I don't even care that much, but like, even if you just don't, let's pretend it means absolutely nothing and there was no social context and whatnot, like visually too, it's just perfect. I mean, his hair light, the fact that his fist does not come above that little tree line in the back, I thought was just so beautifully done. The use of the kind of like, you can see sort of what the signs say, but it's like not necessary. Like, we understand, like the viewer understands what's going on. You know that there's a sign there. It's just everything about it lit perfectly. The fact that you did it in black and white too. Oh my God. Jesus.
It didn't hit the same way. I found the shot once I had it in black and white. Because initially it was supposed to be color. And then I was like, there's something off about having it in color. I said to me, and I don't want to sound kitsch about it or anything like that, because it's not a what we'll call a colorful issue.
No,
this should be black and white. It should be easy for people to understand why equality and justice is for everyone. So I mean, it's clear for me.
This is not a gray subject matter.
Precisely.
You've got your dark, deep tones and your light, bright tones, and that's it. Like that, it is what it is. Yeah. Like I know, I get you. It's
so to me, like I said, it wasn't supposed to be a black and white issue. If you were going to write on a piece of paper, you're going to be using lead, and it's going to be black on white, and it's going to be clear. Equality is for everybody, and I wanted that to come across. So having the colors there didn't make any sense to me eventually. So when I decided, okay, I'm going to try it in black and white, and then I saw it, I was like, oh, I got my shot. This is really cool. Yeah. And it's cool because there are a few people that did reach out at the time to ask for a print, and I sent it to them for free. I didn't want to make any money off of this. I didn't use the Black Lives Matter hashtag as well or anything like that, because it's not something that I felt that I should be, making any money. It's just personal belief, and I felt that it was a necessary shot to make. Yeah. I had a few people reach out to me after that to say thanks, which was really, really fun. And that's it. And I was really moved by what Boyega had to say, and it was the best way I could kind of convey my support for the cause in this way. I have trouble, expressing myself when it comes to opinions like that. And it was super easy for me to use this type of medium in order to express what I was feeling.
Well, and I will add to that, this is your voice. Like, that's the thing. Like, people using their particular voice, their way of speaking, this is your way of speaking. People may look at toy photography as it's just a hobby, blah, 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 blah. But like, this is your hobby. It is your interest. It is the thing you're good at. It is a thing that you're, very good at. So it only makes sense that would be what you would use. Like, a writer would write about it. Mm-hmm. A painter would paint about it. Somebody who just, likes to yell will yell about it. You know what I mean? Like, it's what your particular skill set is what worked here. And it's such an image, such a freaking image.
I still love it very much. I think it's good. I like it.
Yeah. I go back to it and look at it periodically just for funsies. Like, it really gets me.
So. I appreciate that. Thank you.
You have a lot of, I call them like statement images, basically. Like, you're not one to do like 50 of the same kind of poses and like different B-sides. You really focus on what you're trying to shoot and convey, and there's like one image for that imprint and that emotion. And that's a really awesome skill, because I don't have it. So it's just like one of those things. So
but they're few and far between. Like, I really would love to be able to make an image right now in support of Ukraine, but right now, like, the idea is just not coming. Yeah. I don't have something, and I'm working on it. I'm writing out ideas. What could I do? How could I explain I want to support and all that stuff? And it's not coming to me. I'll get there eventually.
That's a beautiful thing about what you're doing, though, is you're taking the time. You're not just rushing some sort of like half-assed like statement in a toy photograph. You're sitting here and you're taking the time and you're saying to yourself, I don't have an idea yet. I'm going to wait until that idea comes to me, and then I'm going to execute it. Like, not sit there and just throw everything at it just to get some sort of like clicks or some sort of like attention. Like, you're doing it for the right reasons. And I think that's what makes you wait. And that's what makes you pause. Like, naturally people are going to like want to jump on it and like, on my Instagram page, I got to do something about the Ukraine. Like, but you're sitting here saying like, yeah, I want to express my feelings about it, but I'm not in any sort of hurry to like beat like anybody else to it. I'm just going to do it when it comes to me naturally. Mm-hmm. So this photo is remarkable.
Thank you. Guillermo del Toro saw that one too, and he liked it. And he shared it too, so I was really...
That's amazing. That is too cool. Mm-hmm. Again, further proving my whole point about the fact that you really do reach people beyond toy photography. But like, the light here it's him. It's his thing. Like,
yeah, I was happy about that. Thank you.
Like, it's that you took... you have your own lighting style, and you like got away from your own lighting style to do somebody else's, and you did it magically and perfectly. It's
this was early
such
on.
an incredible image.
I didn't have much light at the time. I think I had two little cubes.
You made it work. But that goes back to what you're talking about with equipment. Like, it's not the equipment, those are enhancements. Like the posing and the framing and the artistic like integrity of the piece comes before the equipment and the gear. It's beautiful.
Again, that was vacation. I was at my parents' place, and my father has a little forest in the back, and there was that tree stump, and that tree stump looked like something that Del Toro would have like turned around and looked at it. And I was like, this looks really neat. I'll do something here.
Yeah.
And when I set it up, when I saw it, when I edited, I imported it into the computer, and I saw it, and I was like, oh, this is so cool because I don't have to do anything. This is the camera. Maybe I could just bring up the greens a little bit, but the rest of it was all there. It's like that was atmosphere aerosol on the back and all that, which I thought was fun because just the perspective itself, it doesn't look like a tree stump. It looks like the entrance of this sort of cave.
It does. It's very cavey.
So
I can relate to that. I've used tree stumps as caves, and it works. It's all about size and perspective, and you definitely, that's exactly the vibe that it's got. It's got that kind of cavey vibe.
Yeah. I always like it too because you always have like layers to your depth of field. So you have like the ground in the front to lead you to something, or you'll even have the figure and then it leads out to something else. So it's neat to see this down here.
But yeah, I really like that show. So.
I don't know how many more we have until we get there.
This is so fun. This is so fun. This is your range showing. Obviously the fact that you see the Loom Cube like name there is so funny because it's automatically gonna like make toy photographers giggle. We're all gonna find it really funny. And this is so well done. I love this photo. I absolutely love this photo.
Yeah, I had fun with that because when I reached out to them, I think it was a year or some ago to see if I could, work with them or be an ambassador or something like that. I thought it would be fun. But I wasn't getting as many clicks as I was getting like maybe 6 months ago. But when TikTok blew up, it gave me an excuse to reach out again. Yeah. So I was like, I got numbers now. People are seeing my stuff. And,
people care. Maybe,
so yeah. And so I said to them, I was like, here. So I sent them like some of the engagement rate analytics and all that stuff. Just to I had seen some other people do that. I just didn't want, I wanted to fill out the form just to make sure everything was okay. And then I was approved like, I think it was 25 minutes later.
That's
so funny. Really great. They reached out. Yes, let's work together. Let's do something. And I was very thrilled because I'd never gotten any form of sponsorship before for anything. And, then they said, okay, what kind of campaign do you want to build? And I was like, okay, well, I can make a shot for you guys. I can do a couple of TikTok videos, some Instagram stories or whatever. So they make you fill out a form and it was really great. But the fun thing about it is when they asked me what equipment I'd like to do it with, I love these panels, so I wasn't doing it out of pure advertising to get people to buy. I like that product because it allows me to create more stuff and have a lot more light. It's easier on my camera as well. But the fun aspect of it is that these ones actually have RGB capabilities in it.
Yeah.
And so I was like, that means I could turn this into a tanning salon. Yeah. Super fun. And so I tried to build that contraption where it would be a tanning salon. And it just so happened to be at the time where like Gotham by Gaslight Joker from Mezco came out and he had those little glasses. And I remember my uncle used to, sunbathe in the back and he had those little things that he'd put in his eyes, little peepholes and all that. So I said, who could I put that would be interesting? So I tried a couple of figures and I came down to Popeye simply because he's one of the smaller Mezco figures and he would fit on the bed. So initially it wasn't supposed to be him. It was supposed to be some other figures, but they were too big.
Yeah.
But that shot was just so much fun. And when it came out the way it came out, I was so thrilled with it. But at the same time, there was also part of me that was like, oh, fuck, I hope people don't see me as a sellout.
No.
Like this entire product.
I get that. Yeah. No, I get that. 100%. That is a feeling. But I mean, that's the world. That's the art world. That's the music world. That's anything you do in the creative field. Like that you do some sort of marketing campaign or you're part of some sort of I used to think that way a little bit when I was like snobbier, but it's like, it's such a silly thing. It's like, why does this matter? Like, just whatever. Like, I think it's awesome. And I love the placement of it. I think it was just such a beautifully done campaign looking, the advertising element is there, but it doesn't, it's not like aggressively in your face. It's very clear what it is, but it's not like, again, it's not like you're like trying to stuff your opinions down somebody's throat or something like that. I think it's so cool.
I tried to make
so classy.
Sure. Exactly. That's what I wanted to do. Is I wanted to make it as simple as possible. I wanted it to be me, but I also wanted to get the point across that these are available lights. And it was just to try to find that balance. How do I do that, without it looking just terrible? And so it was fun for me to be able to do it that way. And Popeye is just such a goofy character to do it with that I thought this was going to be real fun.
Especially with the pipe and a tanning bed. I was like,
it's so good. So good. I also like another technical thing. Like that, your rim lighting in here is just absolutely stunning. Like and I've looked at this photo many times, and now I'm only just now looking at it and like looking on the edges. Like, I mean, that is phenomenal. Your edging, it's just,
there's a few shots in there though. I put this together.
Yeah, right? It's like a composite.
Exactly. Yeah. There's a few shots. I really wanted to make sure that people understood the shape of it, of the lights with the
so clear.
So I think there's like maybe 4 shots in there.
Yep.
But so even like when you look at the top thing that's holding the light itself, I have
the little like ball there.
Layer mask those in, those little whites and all that stuff. And plus I needed different types of focus as well, right? So I needed to focus on the Loom Cube on the top, but I also needed to have Popeye in focus because he's the main subject as well.
Yep.
Because you want your eye to be drawn to Popeye first, and then after that, why is this? And then you look up and you see Loom Cube. So that's kind of the idea of, just trying to play with people's perspectives. Yep. So you lead them to the blue. Why is he in a tanning? Oh, these are lights. And then people understand the gist of the picture after that. But I needed a couple to get those rim lights in because I wanted to show exactly like these are the shapes, that's the way it looks and all that.
Yeah, well, it does. It gives you it actually gives you a sense of how the thing is designed. It would be so easy to do that. Yeah, exactly. And it would be so easy for people to, photograph this badly and you would just like lose everything. And I mean, and let's be honest, like even if you just shot this with one exposure with just the light coming at you from Popeye, it would have been a mess. But like, you get to see the whole shape. You're getting the thing that's holding it. It's just so good. So well done.
And the bottom light is actually resting on top of a Loom Cube cube.
That's awesome.
So I'm using that as well.
Awesome.
So it's all their products.
Yep. Loom Cubes on top of Loom Cubes. I love it.
I think this might be the last one before we get into the in this style of. So
this is like, again, so reiterating the idea of pop culture and what is current. And you're just so like, and I'm going to regret saying this. You might be one of the best when it comes to pop culture references in toy photography.
No, that's pushing it.
I know I'm going to I know I'm going to hear about this, but I really mean that. And no matter what people say, I don't really care if people agree with me because I'm an ass. But like you are seriously like, I don't know if there's anybody who nails current events and pop culture and political culture, whatever the case is, whatever's going on, like you just do it so fantastically. And sometimes it's serious, sometimes it's humorous. Like this is funny as hell. Like this is so freaking good. Like this photo kills me. And like I said, back to the whole idea of you connecting to people beyond the toy photography world. I will tell a quick story, which I sent you a while back. I actually had a colleague of mine who has no interest in toy photography, like he has no idea what toy photography was. Show me one of your images once. Like he came up and was just like, have you ever seen this? And I was like, oh yeah, I know who that is. And he was like, this is so cool. He's a comic book reader.
Right.
That's it. That's his only connection to like this type of interest and this type of culture and whatnot. Like, and the fact again that your photos like transcend just toys, it's you connect to other people. You connect to like a whole broad world. People that are not even, they don't have to be nerdy people. They don't have to be fans of Batman. They don't have to be comic book readers. They don't have to be gamers. Like you really, really connect to a huge audience. And I think that's what's so appealing about your feed, and what's appealing to lots of people is this is hilarious. It like everybody should find this funny. If you don't find this funny, I don't want to talk to you. Like,
I got shit on that picture.
That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Anybody who's shitting on you because of this picture is hilarious. And like, and he is such a relevant TikToker, you know, real person, like freaking Salt Bay. Like it's so.
I would have loved that to have him see it. He didn't. I did tag him. I know that a lot of people probably sent it to him and stuff like that. But
I feel like he would have to find this funny. Like, how could he not be entertained by this?
Well, I don't know.
What is wrong?
But it was fun because when I got that Joker figure, he had that hand, and that's a card holding hand. And I was like, well, it kind of looks like he's, you know, Salt Baying. So I got to do something with that.
You're so smart.
It was just the hand. The hand was the inspiration for the entire shot. Just the hand.
So freaking that. But you know what? That is the essence of an artist right there. I mean, that you literally took something, you looked at it, you thought about it, and you made it work. And that's the thing about photography that I always try to remind people when people talk about photography not being art or not being like, because, you know, you always get that crap as like as somebody who was in like, you know, really interested in fine art photography and whatnot. You always hear that like, well, it's not painting, it's not sculpture. Okay, yeah, well, but the idea of finding something and utilizing it like for something other than its original purpose is so fascinating. And I mean, it's just so freaking cool. So freaking cool. I love it.
I remember the shit that I got was because there was a bit of salt on the top of his hand as well. And it was so weird to me that the person didn't piece together that Joker himself is not an elegant person. He's not a person that's going to be careful with anything. And so to me, it was in character that he would actually grab the salt and kind of whip it back at the same time and, you know, just be kind of goofy about it.
100%.
So it was important for me to have that in the shot. You know, look at the blood that's coming out of the heart. I mean, the heart's practically still beating. There's nothing clean about what the Joker does.
No.
Why would he be clean about pouring salt? So to me, it's like, it was so weird because you get these comments sometimes, even like one of my most recent Batman shots where it's like one of the guys has a batarang in the head and like he's just Batman showing up at a crime scene. Like some of the comments are like, Batman doesn't kill. And I was like, listen, my 14-year-old daughter understood exactly what this picture about. Like the Riddler's actually framing Batman. And if you can't make that link, it's not my problem.
Yeah.
But the amount
I love that you get responses like that. That is so weird. Like I am, again, I'm not at your level by any means, and I don't intend to be.
I have trolls, man. I have trolls.
You get the weird, like the fact that you actually have trolls is hilarious. I'm so envious. Like, oh my God.
Don't be, man. I'd give anything to go back to a smaller audience.
Oh my God. It just kills me that I love that you have people complaining about Joker's salt.
People now.
Good.
That's where I am. I'm like, fuck this. I don't want that person.
Yeah, good for you.
Yeah.
But it's not like at first, like, sure, you want to be recognized and all that stuff, and you want your work to be out there. And plus, I'm an extremely competitive person, so that doesn't feed the right, stuff inside me.
Yeah.
But eventually, you start realizing that it comes with some sort of, it's like it's not enough ever. And then it comes with pressure, it comes with trolls, it comes with, like for the longest time, people are like super like enthusiastic about your work. But then I've seen the other side of it where people are like, oh, Jason's falling off. He has no idea what he's doing. Like, did you see his recent stuff? It's not and they talk about those other people the same way. I mean, I've heard people talk about, other toy photographers like, these people are like, and I'm like, Jesus fucking Christ, what do you guys want? Are you guys just
chill out?
It's toys. Who cares? You know what I mean? If you don't want to follow that person anymore, go right ahead.
Weird. Oh my
we used to
God.
get shit for using stormtroopers and pictures that didn't make sense with the actual timeline.
People are
of
so
Star
weird.
Wars, and I was like, man, I don't care. I just
don't care.
Yeah.
The shot itself isn't even designed to be Star Wars. It's something else.
People are so weird. So freaking weird.
But now it's one of those things where I used to take it personally, and now I just laugh. Like, especially on TikTok, I answer back like the dumbest shit. And I'll take a screenshot and I'll post it to my stories because I think it's funny.
Good.
Make a game out of it.
Yeah,
that's the way to do it.
Yeah.
I kind of I liked too, like, I'm going to give myself a pat on the back for the way this progressed to this shot, because it kind of shows your account to where it is right now and like the level of detail that you're taking for this count. So regardless of how everybody else sees it, you must have had a blast doing this because you were thinking about those things and how they were interacting. The fact that you have the people in the background, like chained up, because he's been having probably loads of dinner parties that Batman wasn't invited to earlier on. Just the shot has a history to it. It's entire. It could be a comic book cover like that. That's how good it is. So
thank you. Yeah, that's cool. I mean, that was fun because I was like, there's no like Joker isn't the kind of guy who doesn't want an audience. He always does things on a grand scale.
Yeah.
And so if he's going to host a dinner for Batman, there has to be other people somewhere in there. So he's probably got these corpses. I don't know where he dug them up or anything like that.
Knows?
There's going to be a guy at the bar. There's going to be a couple in the back. I made sure like I had like a 11 from Stranger Things and that she has that Alice in Wonderland wig. So I'll put a blonde woman in there. You know, but it's just one of those things where I'd have these corpses and Batman was just too late. I had a friend point out, Sean, Visual Approach Photography. He says, I love how Joker always has the upper hand in all of your pictures. Joker is never winning. And so, and even if he seems like he's in a vulnerable position, something is happening behind him that Batman can't take care of. And I was like, well, why wouldn't you do that? Joker has to always be on top of things. That's the reason why Batman has to react. He's Batman's sole existence as a result, you know? So Joker has to be the goofiest character, but he's so cool to play with. And to not give him that edge over Batman, I feel like you're just missing out on telling a really fun story.
Yeah.
I think we're gonna go the style of, and I put mine first because I think last season I put Scott's first every time because I was gonna go outside. So for the theme for exploration and discovery, I got this dio from Terraformer, who's Graham. So it's my first indoor dio that I've ever bought, and it's a huge sewer thing. So even opening it was
I was there when it was being unboxed. I witnessed
it was just one of those things, but. For you, I was going to look at like most of your photos, except for the most recent one that I really saw and loved. Was like what is it called? When you had like the guy with the mask and everything going on, all the flames and all that stuff.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah.
When you do like street scenes, they come down in like a cooler tone, which is out of my wheelhouse. So usually I like the green or the warmer colors, and so this to itself, I had to tone this down quite a bit. I also had to put a Mezco figure in there because you actually introduced me to this figure in particular, and then most Mezco figures. Because you do photograph them in a fun way, and that's what I like is something different, something I can pull outside, something I can take care of. But also, you do have some light humor with like the Pixar, Disney, those kind of figures, and so I think of that when there's like family tones. So these are mashed together.
This is really cool. Vapors is feeding Sean.
I also love that you just said the thing because I do the exact opposite, Steph, is I tend to shoot cooler. So I picked more of his warm photos to go with that route because I don't shoot warm at all. And I always avoid warmth. And it's just so I love that you actually went in the cooler direction because you did. This is much cooler than your normal stuff. Your normal stuff tends to have much more like yellow. And I just think that that's so great because his Jason, your street scenes tend to have that cool imagery. Like anytime you have like a Batman on the streets at night or a Spider-Man on the streets at night, it's always got that that city light, like ambient feel. And I chose the more woodsy, like happy glowing sun sort of attempt because it's like the complete opposite of what I do.
I'd love to get back to that, but I remember like I was supposed to take a shot with Cool Figures of some Ninja Gomez. And when I told Leslie, like, hey, I'm going to set up for some ninja shots. And she says, oh, not that fucking forest again. And I was like, oh, okay. So it forced me out of my normal, with the trees and the grass and all that stuff, which I really like, but I tend to light it always the same way. I even comments, it's like, same damn lighting setup. Why don't you change it up once in a while? And I'm like, because I like it. That's the reason why I do that way.
That's actually why I chose that kind of vibe from you, was because I really like the way you do that. Like, I think it's appealing. It's I don't know why people get annoyed when people do
I
a
think
vibe.
It's just the way entertainment works now, right? Everything is easily consumable. People don't spend time on things. It's double tap and move on.
Yeah.
Right? And if it's not an immediate reaction, then people don't particularly like it.
Yeah.
I like to spend time looking at people's pictures, and just trying to decipher, okay, hey, where's the lighting coming from? What's the story about? What kind of figures did they use? Did they use these in a particular way? Could it have been, what are they trying to say? And to me, that's what's fun. I get up in the morning and I have my coffee and I'm on Instagram looking at what people threw out during the middle of the night that I hadn't caught up on.
Yeah.
But I never feel like I need to, go out of my way to criticize when I'm not satisfied with somebody's work. It's just one of those things where I'm like, sure, I'll have the occasional conversation of like, hey, did you see what this person's doing? They're trying to be exactly like this guy, and that's unbecoming. I don't particularly like that. Find your own style and just work on it. You know what I mean?
Steph, I love. I'm a sucker for things hidden behind like foreground objects. So I love that the elbow of the character is just kind of falling behind that wall. Like you're just kind of peering at what's happening here. I was just observing it as I was listening, and I really caught that. You're really using this Dio to its fullest. I cannot wait to see what's going to.
I'm glad you pointed that out, because I was going to as well. I really appreciate it, because what it feels is like we have an uncomfortable viewer. It's a viewer that's just kind of maybe scared of that type of bird, that they didn't do it. And then you'll have Vapor that's there. So it's just one of just that little column to me sells the entire picture.
Yeah.
Someone
is watching
you take
this.
care of it.
Yeah.
I'm not going over there.
Someone's kind of doing like one of these motions.
And I didn't have any porgs, so these little birds are going to have to deal with it.
So good.
But those are perfect. Those are perfect. Porgs have been funny. I do that. It's funny because people have been asking for porgs, and I also have people like, what are those damn Star Wars birds doing there? So I put them in there to troll with people.
That's so good. I've noticed you've been using them again. That's why I had to put porgs.
I'm going to move yours on there, Scott.
I wasn't going to use porgs.
In the side. I was like, there they are.
I was just like, I have to do it because he keeps sticking them in these random spots. And I kept noticing it. I was like, this is so freaking funny. Like, I am going to do it. Like, originally, that was not my plan. I was just going to do like the Bantha and the Rancor in the back. Because for those of you who have not watched Encanto, I don't want to, it's not really spoiling anything. This character is like a speaker to animals and stuff. So, but yeah, I wasn't originally going to include the porgs, and I realized that is something that you have been sticking in places. So, had to do it.
To me, it's because I see them just as birds.
Yeah,
they're great. They're good for any scenario because they're birds.
Puffin creatures.
I'd gladly put them in any shot that I'd have of the pink skulls, where I'd have like pigeons.
Yeah,
they'd be mingling with the porgs, and to me that makes perfect sense.
Yeah, I agree. No, I love them. I think they're so fun. And I was like, "Yep, got to put those in."
Yeah, but I love this shot, by the way. It looks great.
Yeah, I had, like I said, a total blast doing this. It was super.
You're using your TV?
No, actually, that is a the thing you put on like a reptile tank.
That's perfect.
Like,
Great idea,
like you
man.
would just like wrap it around like a tank for the tone, like to make the reptile feel like it's in the woods.
You know why that's a better idea than the TV?
Why?
Because your colors are going to look exactly the same in camera. On a television screen, depending on what white balance you have, or if you have a circular polarizer, to me, like I'm always having to adjust colors in the background. So like I'm lucky if my blues come out well. Night shots are horrible to shoot in front of a TV because you always got that sky that's purple, and you're like, that never looks purple.
That's not correct. Yeah.
No, but that's great. I think I'm actually going to try to do that.
Do it. It was like literally less than $10, and I was like, yeah, let's just do this.
Looks great.
And then, it was really funny. I was because like I've tried to shoot with my TV before and it never feels right. Like I've done it a few times and I think I might have a few images posted with my TV in the background, but it's just never quite hit it. So I just, for fun, I was like, you know what, I'm going to just put this up. And I did. And it ended up actually kind of working. It was just like a little vinyl wrap thing. I just stuck up on a piece of cardboard and just hid it behind there. So
that's awesome.
But yeah, it was
too, so I think that's even cooler.
And it was funny when I saw Antonio in Target the one day. I thought of shooting your shoot. It's weird, but like, so I was walking and I was like, what in the world could I do with this? I need to buy it. And Heather was just like my wife was just like, just get it. Who cares? And I was like, I think I know what I'm going to do with it. And before I even got out of Target, I knew that it was going to be for your shoot. Cause again, I like the way that you're great at like mashing up what is current and what is pop culture and what is going on. And I was like, you know what? Encanto's huge right now. Elliot watches it. He loves it. And the whole Rancor thing with, you know, the new Book of Boba and stuff. I was just like, you know what? I'm putting the two together. We're going to do what's big on Disney Plus and just have some fun with it. And
even like Boba on the Bantha and all that stuff. And I also love the fact that you used that. I think it looks like orangey moss or something like that. That's an interesting callback to his sweater.
Yes, I was.
So it really ties the colors together to me.
Yeah, it was funny because I was originally, again, going back, I was originally going to use just like green moss. I just had some kind of like fluffy stuff sitting around and I was like, oh, I'm going to put this on there. And then I was like, no, what if I use this instead? It kind of matches his outfit. Let's match the moss to the outfit. So.
Really good decision in my opinion. Because it really draws your eye. And the way that you created it too, you've got that, if you look at the shape that you actually gave it with the foreground and on the side and the back, you've got this diamond and he seems to be in the middle of that diamond.
Living.
And the eye is drawn directly to your main subject, which I think is genius.
Oh, thank you. It was fun. Like I said, this was way out of my norm. I gravitate towards outside always. And it was funny setting up I just set this up on the dining room table and I'm just in there kind of like laying stuff out and it was really funny and making the trees like it was a complete like, all right, let's see what we can come up with and see how this goes. And just started making them. I think it was over this last weekend. And I just started like seeing what would happen. I painted them. I threw cinnamon at them. I just like trying to do whatever I could to make them kind of look like barky. And then I was like, all right, this will work. And then,
You know, so when the paint was drying, what I'd do is I'd take like a little pouch of tea, green tea, and then the orange pico tea, and I just rub it on the tree. And then so what it does is that whenever the light hits it just gives it breaks up the light. It doesn't reflect off of it, so it absorbs it, and it kind of just gives it that natural feel.
I love that. I freaking love that. But yeah, truly a blast. It was a fun way to start the season because I talk about this every episode. I try to do something that I've never done for each photographer, basically, even if it's something silly and little. But yeah, I've never made any sort of tree or anything like that. I've never set up like fake grass. So this was a real shred. The grass was no joke. It was just felt. It was just a sheet of felt. That was all I had. Out of curiosity, and again, I know you don't mind sharing this stuff. What do you use? What is that like?
Oh, I'll send you the link, man. I found Toys for Life 88. So Niels Van Riel out in the Netherlands in Holland. He had this grass mat that I thought was really cool. And so, where'd you get that? He says, I got it off Amazon, and he sent me a link, and I found it here in Canada as well. And it's just a grass mat that people would use to put in like windows and shopping centers or something like that. And so I just bought 2 of those things and they look great. You know,
they look amazing. I love so I even tried to rough up the felt a little bit. Like I used I had a, what do you call it? I don't even know if I have it here, but like a metal brush. And I just tried to like get it a little fuzzy. So I was just trying to give it a little bit of, because when I first got it, it was like bright green. So I took, brown acrylic paint and mixed it with water and threw it into a spray bottle. And I just started like misting all over the place and then just started scrubbing the crap out of it with a wire brush to try to give it a little bit of texture. Because it didn't, when I first looked at it, it was just a little, again, it was just a sheet of fabric. So I was like, this is not quite going to get it done. So,
But yeah,
but I want to look into that because that's so cool.
$25 to $30.
That's and
it's a meter by a meter.
Oh yeah.
So I don't know. You guys, it's probably like a little like a yard or something.
Yeah, like a yard by a yard, 3 feet by 3 feet, give or take.
I don't know what it is, but anyway.
Yep. Yeah, that's awesome.
So I bought 2 of those, and now I can have like these giant setups if I want because it's pretty, it's pretty vast. And if you look, I mean, there's a shot that I had where I was using somewhat similar to you. When I used to go, I went to Michael's, and Michael's have like when people are building these like really small, accurate train diorama setups and stuff like that, they have these grass patches that are just this thin sheet of like, I don't know if you guys remember when we were in like kindergarten or something like that, you'd have those stickers they'd give you that were nice and soft sometimes.
Yeah.
Well, the padding kind of comes out to that as well. So if you look at my early link shot, which is now a year old, that's the mat I was using. And so I had to kind of add a little bit of moss, but now with this new grass, it's totally fine because it does all the work. It reflects the right way.
That's so cool.
Very cool.
So cool. But
Jason, I just picked this one because I love the shot, so it doesn't matter.
So cool.
Yeah, I love
so
that.
Cool.
That was a lot of fun.
I was
so scared of this project.
I love that. I absolutely love that.
I had no idea what to do when it came to this figure. When they messaged me and they said, "Hey, we'd like you to be part of this. Do you think you can do anything with it?" And I was like, I don't know. And so I talked to Leslie and I was like, Meska wants me to take pictures of Captain Nemo. And she says, yeah, do it. And I was like, I know who Captain Nemo is, but he's a captain. It's a shipboat captain. Have you seen what I shoot? I shoot Batman and Mando. And he's like, I don't shoot, boat captains or anything like that. And she says, well, you have Popeye. I was like, totally different.
It's totally different characters.
Popeye's funny. And so I was like, okay, maybe if I can get an idea of what to do. And I was at my parents' place when I got the message for this. And my dad said to me, he said, well, think about it. And I was like, okay. And so when I got home, I was like, okay, I'll do it, but I need to talk to my dad first. Because the contraption that's down there, we based ourselves off an image that I sent him, a painting of Captain Nemo standing up on top of the Nautilus. And I said, do you think you can make this base for me? It's going to be submarine-like. And I said, listen, all you need to do is paint it black, and I'll take care of making it look metallic. And he said, sure, no problem. And so slowly but surely, he started to show me the development process and all that stuff. I remember the little hull at the top where you could put the head through. I asked him to redesign it a little bit because he had made it a certain way that I didn't particularly like. And he was okay with that. But the only way I could actually make this shot come to life is just because my dad was able to get me that Nautilus base. And I was really thrilled by it. And so what I did, as was something I normally don't do, is I started doing research. I do research on other things because I enjoy doing it, but on toy photography, not necessarily. But I've tried to research who Captain Nemo was, what kind of attitude he had, and also what kind of, because my grandfather was a shipboat captain, and there were a few pictures that I'd seen of him, and I was like, okay, well, do I base myself on pictures? There must be oil paintings or something like that out there of shipboat captains, like something really kitsch that family members have of their great grandfathers on some
Yeah.
And I started downloading. I think I looked at maybe roughly 40 or 50 images of trying to figure out what kind of oil painting like picture I'd like to have. And then eventually I was like, okay, take a shot, an action shot, which is the first shot that I got done, where he's fighting on top of the Nautilus. And then after that, once you have that one in the bag, at least you have one, then you can work on a second shot, which was this one, which I did the next day because I was calm, because I had gotten my first shot, and now I can kind of work on something that I really want to try after doing all that research.
Sometimes when you over try, sometimes when you put too much, at the forefront, you make a mess, and then once you've released all of that, then you can kind of go back and okay, now let's let it happen more naturally. Yeah, I've done that multiple times.
Essentially, the first shot that I did was a recreation of the Popeye shot that I did where he's on a raft fighting a shark. I was like, I know how to set this up. I know how to get that. And it's a different figure. It's a different pose. People might see that I did the same thing, but chances are they won't, and it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
But then when I got that one done, I was in the living room and I was trying to get it done, and that's my TV in the background. I used, like a lot of people use cellophane in order to kind of create the waves and all that stuff. I don't like that. I like to use a black garbage bag, and then after that, pour water on top so that I can kind of get that nice reflection. I think that the cellophane doesn't necessarily work for me. So what you see there reflecting off is actual water and a garbage bag. And it looks fine. It looks like he's plowing through, the ocean. And so I was really, really pleased by that. And I remember when I sent the shot to Mezco, I got a message right after, I think I got 15 minutes later. It's just, that shot looks awesome. Thank you. So it was really cool because I remember speaking to Darius after who takes most of Mezco's shots and all that stuff for the product photography. And, he was like, that was good. And I was like, okay, cool. Thanks. I really appreciate that. Cause we're friendly. We're friends. Sorry. And, then I noticed that he hadn't put up a review for Captain Nemo. And I kind of got wind that it was, my light's off. I kind of got wind that one of the reasons why he didn't have to review it is because when they saw the shots, they were like, we don't need anything else. This is so and that was incredibly flattering because you never really get that from their perspective. But I got words from other people that sometimes contact me like,
that's amazing.
That was so cool that we don't need anything else. This will sell figure.
The photo is all we need.
Yep.
That's amazing.
So I was really
oh my gosh. Jason, seriously, thank you so much for being on here. This has been absolutely awesome. You are, like I said, super important in the toy photography community in general. Where at the end, got to say all the things shout out, do you want to shout out your TikTok or anything like that? Any of your, you're good.
No.
Okay. Good. I just wanted to make sure that I don't want to leave that as a, people want to find you. They can try to find you the way they want to find you. I just never want anybody to feel like we did give them the opportunity.
No, that's totally fine. So, I'm you just follow Steph and follow Scott. That's the people you need to follow. Their work is awesome. I'm a fan, but that's it. Don't follow me.
No.
Follow them.
Don't follow me. But seriously, you are awesome. Real positive image in a world that can sometimes get a little bit negative. And and I especially you touched on it a little bit. And don't have to get super into it, but you talked about Star Wars and stuff. I love that you still keep positivity around your Star Wars posts and stuff, because as somebody who's loved Star Wars, that can be a very negative space, right? The fandom has gotten really weird and really angry all the time. And I'm just you guys got to chill out. I just love the fact that, in this kind of nerdy world that we live in, you take a more realistic approach to things. You don't try to.
No, I mean, but it's also that it's for my own sanity as well, right? You kind of have to pick your battles. Even in the toy community itself, a lot of people say that it's really tight knit people and all that stuff. And then it's no, it's not. There's all of these rivalries, people talking behind each other's backs and all that stuff. And so I try to stay close to the people I like, Steph, for example. That's the reason why I wanted her to come on so I could talk to her, because I've always liked her work. And I also know that she happens to be somewhat in the same position. She's working mom, taking pictures of toys, going out whenever she can and stuff like that. And so it was kind of refreshing to talk to somebody that has a life outside of this stuff. That understands a little bit more of what I am, so we should have a shared reality. And it was really a pleasure to do that type of thing. It's just so weird to me. Online has connected us, but at the same time, it feels like it didn't. It feels like it divides more people and not. Yeah. So even in when people you have these toys, people, these toy companies are revealing these things, and even if it doesn't particularly fit your interest, most people are Pat, bullshit. Why aren't you doing this? This is what I want, and I'm the one that has money, and you're how shitty is your life that this is where you need to really start getting aggressive? These are toys, man.
I know. I know.
I'm a 42-year-old man, and I happen to be able to have fun with toys today. It says a lot about the generation I grew up in. Nostalgia is a powerful drug, and I like using it from time to time. But some people seem to not have that I don't know, that idealistic
awareness.
yeah, exactly like that,
Yeah.
that
I know.
it's just frustrating sometimes. I'm like, guys, just go have fun for fuck's sake.
Yeah,
Stop
exactly.
taking yourself so seriously.
I know.
I do think that we need to do, I don't know what kind of forum, but do an indoor versus outdoor talk, like a real.
Well, I forgot I wanted to talk about that.
Yeah, I know. We're running out. We're way over time.
This happens. This
I
totally
have to go
happens.
into the movie too. So
We could 100% do that. We could totally do like a whole discussion about the positives and negatives. I think that would be really funny, actually.
how many people? I would love to do that talk and just get a couple of people. Like David, does David still shoot outside?
Yeah.
You guys shoot outside?
Yep,
I
mostly.
shoot inside. I could talk to Bananas.
That'll be fun.
Johnny would probably.
Johnny shoots a little bit outside.
Work more or less.
Young, that would be a fun talk. I think.
We should do it. That would be really fun. I would be 100% in.
Because Bananas' lighting inside is so cool.
Yeah.
He's got sheeps for days too. Like his framing is just stellar.
I'm actually quite privileged right now to have a little bit of a relationship with him now. We're friendly. And, I won't presuppose that we're friends, but we talk every day almost now.
But yeah, we really did. We did so our first episode now of the season is like almost 2 hours. This is awesome. This is one way to open it up.
All the parts where I'm not saying anything interesting.
No, absolutely.
Oh yeah.
No, this is fun though. I love this because we've only had a few like really long ones. So it's important to have a couple just like big. Exactly. See, there we go. Well, put that quote at the bottom.
I'm going to hit the end broadcast button, but don't log off, Jason.
Thank you all. Bye.
Well, y'all, thank you for listening to another wonderful episode of the combined SBN F-Stop Rebel podcast. Truly a pleasure. I hope you enjoyed everything. Remember, please do not grow up. It's a waste of time. I am Scott, F-Stop Rebel, and there's obviously Steph.
Yep, I'm still here, and you can find me at Slag My Thrilla or the SBN. You'll see all the credits on the end, but I always want to say, just guys, stay awesome and keep it up.